So first initial impressions of getting behind the wheel of this new MG HS. Very positive, I have to say. Seats are lovely and comfortable, lovely driving position, great view of the road ahead. Steering is nice and well weighted, got a lot of feedback. Only downside is all those safety systems that switch on every time you get in the car. And if you don't like them, you have to turn them off and go into the menus and all that sort of thing. Now here in Australia, there's a massive choice of family-size SUVs, ranging from the cheap and cheerful to the really expensive. But what about if you want something in the middle that's got lots of tech and lots of safety stuff, looks really good, but is really good value for money at the same time? Let me introduce you to the brand new MG HS Excite, which we're going to be reviewing in today's video. So a lot of the changes of this new HS have been on the outside of the car. We've got this complete new redesign, so we're going to start at the front and have a look at what's changed for 2025. So on the bonnet, we've got these nice sort of creases that run all the way from up near the windscreen, all the way down to the front. We've got this nice big chrome MG badge on the front of the car there as well. Coming around from the side of the car, we've got these lovely LED headlights. That then comes down to this nice gloss black centerpiece with the silver stripe running all the width across the bonnet. Then underneath that, we've got this nice sort of chrome effect section, almost kind of 3D on the front of the grille there. It's got built-in parking sensors. We've got the 360 cameras, and at the bottom you've got the nice sort of gloss black type of splitter arrangement going on there. Around the side there, we've got some sort of fake air vent scoops there as well. Plus also the fog lights that are built in on this mid-range model. So the actual front of the car does look really nice, and it's nice and sort of softly rounded as opposed to being a bit square like the old design was. So in terms of looks, I think MG have done a really good job. So under the bonnet of this new MG HS, we've got a 1.5 turbo petrol engine, 4 cylinders, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. The engine itself develops 125 kilowatt and 275 newton meters of torque. The official fuel economy figure is 6.9 litres per 100. In the week that I've been driving the car, I've averaged around 8 litres per 100, so that's actually not too far away from the official figure. It drives really well. It's not the fastest car in the world, but it's certainly got enough punch for driving around the city, overtaking, going up hills and that type of thing. It's pretty quiet and refined as well, which is quite nice, and doesn't let too much sound into the cabin, which we'll find out when we take the car for a drive. One thing that's actually quite nice to see on this new MG is gas struts keeping the bonnet up. A lot of manufacturers have seemed to shied away from that as an idea recently. Whether it's for a money saving exercise or not, I'm not too sure. But it's nice to see it on something at the affordable end of the price spectrum. So coming around to the side of this new MG HS, we've got some really nice designed 19-inch alloy wheels with Bridgestone tyres. We've got these nice gloss black painted sections around the wheel arches. That also continues down to the bottoms of the doors as well, all along the side. And then there's some nice carbon fibre effect trim just above that. So it's a nice contrast, particularly against this blue paintwork. We've then also got this nice bit of trim here as well, just a bit of a styling cue, I think. Then we've got the nice door mirrors here as well with the 360 cameras built in. Keyless entry is standard, as you'd expect on most modern cars these days. Then we've got this nice silver trim that goes all the way across the top of the windows and then kind of comes down to this sort of curved section at the bottom, and another gloss black trim at the bottom of the windows. We've also got roof rails as standard as well, so that's a handy feature if you want to attach some roof bars across and put bikes or kayaks or whatever onto the roof as well. So the actual side design of the car I actually think is quite nice. So around the back of the MG HS now, the first thing we'll see is this built-in rear spoiler at the top of the roof. So that sort of flows from the roof line all the way back, and it kind of comes over the rear window a little bit. So yeah, quite a nice styling exercise. Built into that is also the rear washer for the rear windscreen wiper. Also worth remembering, MGs now get a 10-year warranty, which is really cool. Then underneath that, we've got this little sort of ledge here with the MG badge just underneath. So again, kind of a little bit of a built-in spoiler. And then with the rear lighting, these are full LED. So at the top, we've got the built-in LED indicators. We've got the brake light just underneath. And then this red strip that runs all the way from the passenger side all the way over to the driver's side. So it's like a daytime running light, but for night time. So it's a red light all the way from one side of the car over to the other side. And then coming lower down, we've got the reverse camera there. Rear parking sensors built into the lower section of the rear bumper. Then that gloss black section that we had around the side of the car, and also the carbon fibre effect trim as well. And then another lower diffuser. We've also got these silver trims here, normally where you'd find the exhaust pipe, but that's actually underneath the car. So it's just a nice bit of trim around there to make it look like there's an exhaust pipe sticking out. So the back of the car is really good looking as well. Now, thinking more about a bit of storage space here at the back of the car, opening up the boot, which is manual, but then on the price of the car we're looking at, you wouldn't expect it to necessarily be electric. Inside we've got just over 500 litres of carrying capacity with the rear seats up in place. If you do fold the seats out, it's just under 1500 litres, so really usable size space for putting all your bits and pieces if you're going to Bunnings or if you're going to the beach. You can actually get quite a lot in the back of this new MG HS. You can also lift up the boot floor. There's a couple of little bits of storage in there as well. Just some little pockets where you can put some little bits and pieces in there. But you'll also find things like your jack and your toolkit, plus a warning triangle as well if you happen to need it on the side of the road. So now we're sitting inside the front of this new MG HS, so I thought we'd have a look at the dashboard in the interior. We've got a lovely leather wrapped steering wheel in front of us with buttons for things like your cruise control and your audio and your phone, so pretty standard stuff there. A lovely big digital display in front of the driver. That's really nice and clear and easy to read. We've got all the main information that you're going to need. We've then got the central infotainment screen in there as well, with your built-in sat-nav and CarPlay and Android Auto. The only downside to that is you do need to have a cable to plug your phone in to do your Apple CarPlay or your Android Auto. So it's not a wireless system. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because some wireless systems can be a bit glitchy in terms of how good they connect. The system itself though is a little bit glitchy. It's still a little bit slow. Although MG have improved the sort of responsiveness of the system from previous models of cars, it is still a little bit slow in comparison to some other manufacturers, but it's a decent sized screen. Your Apple CarPlay is full screen as well, which is really, really good. The only downside for me is if you're using your Apple CarPlay but you want to adjust your air conditioning, you've got to go into a couple of screen menus to actually adjust your temperature or your fan speed. You can't do it from the steering wheel or any physical buttons down there on the dashboard. So that's one minor shortcoming that probably could be addressed with maybe switching it to the buttons on the steering wheel or something like that. But the general layout of the interior I really, really like. It's nice and simplistic looking, it's quite modern. There's a couple of buttons here on top of the dash, and so it's not overly fussy, but it looks nice and neat. We've also got things like this nice red stitch in here, just to give it a bit of colour on the dash as well. So the actual dash and interior layout I really, really like. Coming down below the air vents here, we've got a couple of decent sized cup holders. There's two USB connections. One is purely for charging. The other one is to do your phone mirroring for your CarPlay, your Android Auto, plus also a 12-volt power socket there as well. There's no wireless phone charging. Then below that we've got the gear selector. That's a pretty straightforward affair as well. There's not lots of buttons here as well. A button there to activate your park setting. Then we've also got the electronic handbrake, which has also got an auto hold function, which I really, really like. It's a good feature to have. And a downhill descent control, so if you're going in any off-road situations, that's there as well for you to use as well. Then we've got a little bit of storage here just behind that, and then we open up to a decent bit of storage underneath the centre armrest as well. So it's got all the main functions and bits and pieces you'd want on the inside of the car. The seats themselves are beautiful, lovely and soft and supportive, a nice driving position ahead of the driver, and a decent view out the front as well, decent sized windscreen. The only thing I do find is a bit of a hindrance for me, and it might be my driving position, is the door mirror. It's just at that height of, if you're turning out of a junction, it almost creates a bit of a blind spot. The actual pillar itself isn't too bad, But that in conjunction with a mirror, and yeah, it's a little bit of a sort of blind spot when you're coming out of a junction. It'd be slightly better if the mirror casing was set slightly lower, because then you could probably see over the top of the mirror. But yeah, that does kind of get in the way a little bit. But like I say, that could just be my driving position, how tall I am, or something like that. But that's really the only gripe from the front of the car. You've got a decent amount of headroom too, and it's nice to have this lighter headlining so it feels spacious inside the car, nice and light and airy. In the overhead console, we've just got the interior lighting, so buttons there where you can turn on your lights individually, or obviously activate the lights as you open the doors. So getting into the back of the MG HS, as you can see, it was really simple. The back door opens really wide, so it makes it nice and easy to get in. And because of the high roofline, you don't really have to duck your head too much to avoid hitting your head. Once you're in, we've got acres of headroom back here. And you can even put your feet under the driver's seat, so you can really stretch out those legs on longer journeys. Other features we've got back here, there's some nice air vents in the centre section with a couple of USB charging points to connect your phone or your iPad. We also see ISOFIX mounting points for child seats, plus also a fold down armrest with a couple of cup holders here in the middle. In terms of the view out, you've got a decent amount of light coming in from the side windows for your passengers, and the view ahead is really good as well. So it's a nice light airy cabin for all the passengers, be it in the front or the back. So now we've had a look at some of the features of the new MG HS. Let's actually find out what it's like to drive and take it out on the open road. So first initial impressions of getting behind the wheel of this new MG HS, very positive I have to say. Seats are lovely and comfortable, lovely driving position, great view of the road ahead. Steering is nice and well weighted, got a lot of feedback. The only downside is all those safety systems that switch on every time you get in the car, and if you don't like them you have to turn them off and go into the menus and all that sort of thing. It's generally quite refined in here as well. You don't get too much engine and road noise or even wind noise coming from outside. The engine can get a little bit thrashy if you're up in the higher end of the rev range. Putting the gearbox into sport mode will hang on to the gears a little bit longer, make a bit quicker progress for you. The display in front of the driver is actually really easy to read. It's nice and bright, all the main information's right there in front of you. You can even switch the view and change it to the sat-nav screen as well if you're using the built-in sat-nav. Like a lot of modern cars, it tells you every time you do something wrong. There's a little sensor up there on the pillar which looks at your face just to make sure you're looking at the screen in front of you. There's something that tells you if you're 1k over the speed limit, like it's doing at the moment. And it almost becomes a bit of a distraction. It's like, oh, what's happening this time? And now I'm meant to be looking at the camera over there to tell me to focus on my driving, which almost takes you away from focusing on your driving. Can be very distracting, all these chimes. I know a lot of that stuff you can turn off and adjust and change your preferences to, but it would just be easier if you could just turn it off altogether and it stays off. But in terms of the way this car drives, I really didn't expect it to be this good for a car that costs only $40,000. It's really impressive. It's lovely and comfortable. The engine's got enough performance that you need day to day. Yeah, it's just a really good thing. It's I wouldn't be surprised if we see lots of these on the roads in Australia in the very near future. You can spend less and get the base model, or you can spend more and get a few more features and go for the top of the range. There's basically something for everybody at all price points. So that brings us to an end to this video of the new 2025 MG HS. I hope you found it useful. There's certainly lots to like about this new model, and particularly the price point as well. There's not many cars at this price point with the amount of tech that it's got, the style that it's got and the looks, and the amount of space as well. So it represents really good value for money if you're looking for a family size medium SUV. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to find out when the next video review goes live. If you've got any questions about this car, feel free to leave them for me in the comment section below and I'll answer them for you as soon as I can. In the meantime, thanks for watching and we hope to see you again very, very soon.